Here we are with just a bit more information about sewing in the back panel of the lining. And this is a more usual occasion, because remember the previous episode where I showed this, the fill was quite long. And because I pre-ripped my cloth into standard strips, it wasn't going to be quite long enough. So I do my back panel and I rip it into 10 inches, and I rip the ends, the apron ones, into 6. So again, that previous one was a bit too long, so I wound up having to sort of adjust it to fit the curve, right? Well, here's a more usual case in which my standard width of back panel is more than generous enough. So there's my steeking line right there. So I've laid out the cloth and I've given myself a generous overlap on both sides and top and bottom. And I've chalked out roughly chalked out where I'm going to cut it. Now I am going to cut this radius first. I'm going to cut here just to separate from the piece. But I'm not going to do this finished cut until I've sewed to about here, because again, I'm left-handed. I sew from left to right. So I'm not going to make this final cut, because I'm going to cut it generous. I'm not going to cut it to its finished line until I'm about here. And the same thing, I'm not going to cut here until I'm here, and the same in this corner. So again, it's quite straightforward. I can just lay the cloth on top. I can trace an outline, cut it, and then sort of do fine-tuning cutting as I work. And it produces a lining which lays flat. And because we have to remember, and it's easy to forget, that we're tailoring in 2 dimensions for a 3-dimensional shape, so that when this is being worn, there'll be a slight bit of bagginess in the lining, because it's right now it's flat, but it's going to be on a concave surface, which will create a bit of bagginess. But again, that's to our benefit, because that helps keep the shirt tucked in. So there we go. I'll check in one more time when this thing is complete and just sort of sum up.